Okay, welcome to Talk Tennis.
Thank you.
Cara Moore,
Finally
one-on-one in person. Tell me what you're doing this week and why you're in California.
So there is a W75 in Templeton, so I'm playing out there. I've also come in to just play test some rackets because I switch rackets like every 3 minutes. So.
You really do. You're actually one of my favorite pros because of that, because like everyone gets so staunchy on what they like, and you literally could be like given something and go play and win, and it's awesome.
Yeah, I have no brand loyalty. So Tennis Warehouse is perfect for me because I can just come in and pick whatever racket I want to, you guys have such a great choice, so it's perfect.
Oh, I love it. So give us just a quick rundown on what you're using right now in terms of rackets and what you're thinking and what you're looking for.
I use the Yonex Percept 100D. It's a great racket. Honestly, it surprised me with how much power it gives me. I am definitely a pure drive babbler. I know it's such a bad thing to say. It's like dirty in tennis to say that you like the pure drive, but that's probably my next swap. I think I want to go back to that. It just gives you a lot of ease and power, and I think the Yonex is a great racket. There's just, it still doesn't give you as much ease as a babbler. You want something that like aids you to play tennis. Like everybody's so good these days. You want something to help you. So the babbler helps you.
Yeah.
The Yonex is just like a vessel for your tennis kind of thing. So
no, this is a safe space. We're pro pure drive in this room. I always joke I got hired because I wrote an essay about how much I love the pure drive.
Really, I think you're the only one. That's why, because you're the only one that admits it. Because most people are like, no.
Well, I'm proud. I'm proud. I'm not gonna lie. Everyone's been asking me if I'm switching to the new Wilson RF rackets, and I'm not ready to make the commitment.
No, it looks good, but I don't know. Yeah.
And I'm a little curious to see what Babolat has in store maybe in 2025. What year are we?
Yeah, 24.
Okay.
They all merge together after a while.
Talk to me a little bit too, because people love to know what you're wearing on your feet, and you have played kind of like your rackets. You've worn everything.
So I have a lot of like actual pain in my feet. So I've been struggling for a long time to find a tennis shoe that kind of helps that and doesn't just exacerbate the problem. I used the Nike for a long time, and it's just such a thin sole. The first like couple of weeks, like the first 2 weeks are great, and then once that sole wears down a little bit, it becomes comfortable, but I think the impact was just a bit too much for me. So I'm actually using the New Balance the CT Rallies, which are like the updated ones. What were they called before? The CT,
the Love.
Yeah, the Love.
Yes.
That's it. Yeah. So I used to use those. The Love was a little thinner, I think, but they've really upgraded the base of the sole, and I think as a tennis player, we're constantly running on concrete, so that's what I'm using at the moment, and I've loved it. I've been like flogging them to everyone. I'm like, you need to get these, you need to try these. My feet are great, So it's great. I love them. They're the first shoe that I found since the like original like Roger Federer Vapors. Those were like the OGs, and then this is kind of, to me, the most similar that I've played with.
You are not alone. People love that shoe, and pros are loving that shoe. So that's cool to hear. Okay, let's get into it. Let's dive deep.
Okay.
Let's work backwards.
Okay.
Talk to me. This is actually, you're about to play your first tournament. This is like not your first tournament, your first singles.
Yeah, I played one in Evansville, actually. Okay. Yeah, so it's been, singles takes a little longer, and obviously I'm a little older now. So coming back after 2 years, like the 2 years that I've had, it's kind of, I'm trying to slowly build back up to playing singles. Towards the end of my career last time around, like 2 years ago, I actually didn't play that much singles anyway. So, it was kind of the easy thing to transition back into doubles.
Yeah.
But singles takes a bit longer, I think.
Okay.
So we'll see.
So why are we transitioning back? What happened 2 years ago?
So, I think I have one of the most crazy stories on the tour. I went to Colombia, I failed a drug test out there, and it's just something I never thought I would go through, because it's something that's so beyond the realms of what I'm used to and what I do every day. I'm so meticulous with what substances I put into my body, and I think that it just came out of left field. I'd never thought that it would happen to me. So it took 19 months, but cleared my name. I've got a special ranking, so I'm able to play some bigger events, and it helps me get into some tournaments. But again, starting from zero, my ranking is still zero.
Wild.
So, well, not zero anymore, but
because you got to go to the U.S. Open.
Yeah.
You guys won a round.
Yeah.
That's
we
awesome.
were like last minute, because we were first alternate, and, we were sitting there and thinking, is this going to be the first U.S. Open to not have anyone pull out of doubles?
Gosh, yeah.
And then Dee Collins, she pulled through for me. No, she's had a long long sort of career, and she's been, struggling a little bit with injuries here and there. So she didn't want to put herself through it, which is so kind, because a lot of players play through the injury for that paycheck, for doubles. And it's a good paycheck now, So I think that, there was only one withdrawal. I think it's like the least in like US Open history. So lucky to get in and obviously play with Vicky, who is a silver medalist, doubles, Olympic silver medalist. So it was incredible. It was a great experience. Yeah.
Nice. Well, talk to me a little bit about what happened once you got told about this.
Your whole world just kind of, I was in second round of French Open, kind of enjoying sort of a really good run of doubles results and finally cracking top 80 of doubles. Finally just feeling like I belonged playing in the tour. I think that that's something that a lot of players struggle with, like, where your sense of belonging is, you're playing the ITFs all the time and then suddenly you're playing the Grand Slams. It's intimidating, I think. And then obviously hearing this, like, it's like going from like euphoria, winning your first round and at a Grand Slam, like that's where you want to be. And then hearing that your whole career is like suddenly paused. And I had no idea. And I don't think anyone really knows what the process is.
Right.
It's a very it's a different process from what you expect, because you're guilty before you're proven innocent. And I think that, even if in this country, if you murder someone, you have the right to a trial, you have the right to a lawyer, but this is like almost the opposite. If you don't have the money or the funds, you're guilty.
Yeah.
There's no stipulation of it being, oh, she can't afford a lawyer or he can't afford a lawyer, so that's why they haven't fought this. And that happens a lot. I know a lot of people who just didn't have the funds to fight it, and they just rolled over, because you actually get a year less on your suspension if you don't fight it.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
So instead of getting 4 years, you get 3. So that's a lot in tennis terms. So, but I always knew that I never did anything like this. So it was never a question for me to not fight this, and it was a long process. But I'm trying to get people to educate. I'm trying to speak to the associations to get people to kind of be aware of this stuff, because I went to Colombia recently back, and that was another whole story, PTSD. I was going back and forth between whether I wanted to go or not, but obviously not eating meat out there, so I kind of knew that if I didn't do that, and I packed my own food, I brought a lot of my own food, so I kind of just really was protective with that. I think more mentally than anything, but I saw a lot of players eating meat out there, and I was like sitting there, I was like,
Did you want to be like,
I used to like flip their plate over. But yeah, I think it's difficult.
And like from that tournament, wasn't there another player that also tested positive?
Yes. So technically one other player tested positive and another player had it in her system, but it wasn't enough in the threshold. And since then, 2 other players have tested positive too.
Crazy.
So it's a problem, I think one of the stats that kind of stuck out to me the most is 1 in 4 pieces of meat have a certain level of steroids in it. And it's not just for like athletes. I think that this stuff like wrecks your body. I don't know if I've told you, but the weeks following going to Colombia and eating meat out there, I felt so sick. Like I went to the doctor like 8 times because they thought I had long COVID.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I had like a panic attack on court because my heart it felt like it was like beating at my chest. It was terrible. Like I had one match where my heart rate was 212 on court.
What?
Yeah. So she came out with the little, and I was like, I couldn't breathe and I couldn't see. So I knew that it was something, because obviously as a professional athlete, you kind of know
your body.
Yeah, how your body feels at least. It might not be like 100% all the time, but you know kind of a baseline of what you feel. So I definitely felt something, but I didn't know what it was, obviously, because I had no idea what it was. So yeah, I definitely really have to be careful, and people should know about this stuff.
No, totally. Yeah. That's so wild. And I had been advocating for you, and I'm like so excited hearing you finally are back.
Yeah.
But I have to bring it up because like I love to debate and fight.
Okay.
So we recently obviously saw Sinner kind of in the news. And for me, my perspective, just knowing your story and some others, I just say it sucks that it's not fair that like he has all the money in the world to fight this. And it, like we saw how quick it went away.
Yeah.
And like someone like you, your livelihood, you're competing day in and day out. You're making your money by competing. Yeah. And then all of a sudden they're just like, oh, she's tested positive.
Yeah.
Like, banner.
See you later. Yeah.
Like, what?
But it's also like, it's not just that. It's like even now, a lot of people don't know that I've been cleared.
Yeah.
So it's such a weird thing because it took so long.
Do you feel like people like see a scarlet letter on your name?
100%. Yeah. And I think it takes a lot of I think it takes a lot of guts to go back out. Like the first tournament I went to play, I was like, how are people going to react to me? And I did get like 1 or 2 comments here and there, but at the same time, the people that knew me and the people that have been around me and know my character know that this isn't something that I would ever do. So I would never cheat to get, like, it's just not something I would ever do.
Literally debated it against so many people. And they're like, oh no, everyone's doping. I'm like, she's not though.
Yeah. I think that, it's an interesting thing because I think athletes, your body is your weapon, your tool. So I think a lot of people, I can see why they would want to get a 1-up, but tennis is such a technical sport. Mm-hmm. You could be like the best athlete in the world. Usain Bolt could be playing tennis and not win any matches because he doesn't have the technical skills.
Right.
So even if you are like on all these hundreds of billions of steroids, you still need to come out and be able to play tennis.
Right.
So I don't know. I think, Jannik had like a great process. And I think that's how it should be.
Yeah.
He didn't go through, like, his reputation wasn't dragged through the mud.
Yeah.
Like
no one found out until it was
done. Yeah. Which I think that it should be. I think that if there is any chance that it could be an accidental contamination or, accidental application as it happened to him, like, then they should give you the benefit of the doubt and just keep it quiet because it doesn't hurt them. The process actually becomes quicker because they want to push it through the system faster. If you are doping, they want to take you out, But at the same time, like for the athlete, like I had to, I don't know if I told you about this. I went for a job interview in Indiana, like just for a normal job. Mm-hmm. And they, Googled my name and I told them that I used to play professional tennis and all this stuff. And they were like, well, we need to like subject you to like a drug test. And I was like,
gosh.
Yeah. And I was like, and he was like, I was like, is this regular protocol? Do you do this with all? And he was like, no, like we did see that, this happened to you. And I was like, well, it's not like
it wasn't drugs.
Like weed or like, or like, I'm not like doing a line in the bathroom or something. So, but he was like, no, it's just to clear because a lot of the people in like HR didn't understand what I kind of went through. So they were thinking her last job, she got banned because of drugs. So we should be testing it. So it has definitely tainted like my name. Like it's difficult. Yeah. And it's also like you're so proud of yourself for playing professional tennis, for achieving what you've done, like all this kind of stuff. And I always would just stop myself from telling people I ever played tennis,
Yeah.
Because I don't want people to Google my name and see something that's not true as well, So it was tough.
Well, I think you've handled it like with grace and class because I remember when it first all came out and you even let me know because you were like kind of trying to get ahead of everyone, but it was like, come on.
It's difficult because obviously like I've had such a long, like great relationship with Tennis Warehouse and you obviously. Yeah. So I think that on my part, I was like, I just hope that people that, have trusted me and put faith in me don't believe this that's coming out because it's just not anywhere close to the truth, But it's eye-opening and I wouldn't wish this upon anyone. I really wouldn't, like upon my worst enemy, I wouldn't wish this upon them. So I think that for me, like trying to educate people of the process because it's not as simple. It's not like this happens and then they come to you and say, how did this get in your system? It's not like that.
Well, and then talk to me even like from the time that you took the test and the time that you got banned. Was that several weeks?
It was it was like I think 6 to 7 weeks.
Which is crazy too. Yeah. And then you had such a good tournament at that.
Yeah. So I think that it takes so long. And I understand, the logistics of it. You have to send off samples. You have to, the money for it and all that stuff. I get it. But at the same time, 6 or 7 weeks later, I don't know if I ask you 6 or 7 weeks, hey, what did you eat for dinner that night?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So I was really lucky the fact that I'm, again, pretty meticulous. I will take account for what I've had to eat and stuff like that just because it's kind of what I've done my whole life.
Yeah.
So I was really lucky that I could kind of trace back. But a lot of people, a lot of, especially non-athletes, if I asked you what you ate 6 weeks ago, I don't know, bolognese. I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's a really odd experience.
That's wild. And then being at a tournament, does it differ between WTA and ITF on like how often?
100%.
Yeah. That's another thing.
So, I mean, pretty much all of the bigger tournaments I've been tested.
Okay. And is it like once a day, once a week?
No, so it's normally once a week. Okay. It depends. You can get like obviously blood tested and also urine sample, but I think it depends like what you, and I'm like, test me all day. You know, like I
do you want me to pee for you?
Yeah, I was like, I'm like, let's go, you know. But the first time that it happened, I definitely had like PTSD again.
Oh
like I was like shaking and like crying, and the guy was like, what's wrong with you? And then the lady, there's like obviously 2 people in the room with you, like the lady was like, that's the one that, you know, she's coming back, you know, we banned her last time. So, you know, it's kind of, it's a really kind of, yeah, other people that I've spoken to that have gone through similar experiences me, they also say that it just changes. You get scared.
Yeah,
you know, it is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're a good one to rally the troops. Are you advocating for some changes on tour?
I'm trying to. I think that this time I want to do it a little more subtly. I think that for a long time it's quite loud and you know, trying to push it that way. I think from my standpoint now, I want to enjoy my tennis for myself this time.
That's awesome.
So I'm trying to I do want to make a change in terms of like trying to just educate players. I think that's the most important, because I don't, even now, like.
Well, think about someone that maybe just graduated college and is like, oh, I'm going to try.
Yeah.
I'm going to try.
Oh, yeah.
She probably doesn't know.
No. I mean, I just spoke to one girl. She, you know, had kids. She hadn't played for 8 years, and she was going to Colombia to play like an ITF. And I was like, don't eat the meat there. And she's like, why? You know, South America's great. I'm like, don't do it.
Don't do it.
So I think that is just crazy alone, that you don't, you know, as athletes, we should have these warnings very clearly posted to us. And I think that it's getting better, but there's still so much room for improvement.
That's crazy. That's wild. And then like, I'm thinking even about the Olympics, how like they have the chefs there, but then certain countries, I think your country brought in their own chef, which like makes sense.
I completely understand
exactly.
it. Like, it's scary. You know, I think that people, you take it for granted though as well. I think when it hasn't happened to you, you're very much like, okay, like, how can vitamin C be, you know, contaminated?
Yeah.
But now I'm like, I don't know where that's been.
Anything.
I don't take anything. I don't even take like Tylenol hardly. So it's a weird one.
I believe it. Okay, so I feel like we're running out 2 minutes and 45 seconds.
Look at us.
I usually know. Last thing is, what are our goals, plans, happiness? It sounds like is a big
100%.
Yes, I love that for you. But what are we thinking as we wrap up 2024 and go into 2025? What are we working on?
You know, I think it's so exciting for me to just be able to play again. I think I took that for granted for a really long time. And I think you do. Doing something for so long, it becomes your job, it becomes a chore, it becomes monotonous. But now, having taken so long out and seeing, you know, what I'm missing out on kind of thing, I've enjoyed it a lot more. I think I've kind of taken it in a little bit more and just seen the human side of it a little bit more, rather than just, you're a tennis player and that's it. So I'm just going to try and take it like, I really, like you said, happiness is the most important for me. I winning and losing is great, and you know, but it doesn't change who I am as a person, and I think that that's the most important part. I don't want to lose my sense of self within tennis this time.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Yay. Well, I'm so excited to watch you compete this week and as the year continues in 2025. And I think you're on the up and up, and I just love, you got good energy, and I'm excited for you. So thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me.
Yay. Happy hitting.
Woo.